5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
You're listening to the GHT Overland podcast. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on the GHT Overland podcast. This is where you get the greatest interviews and insights from overland travelers around the globe. You will learn the basics to the advanced in overlanding, so buckle up and get ready for part 2 with Jason and Francesca of Ox Overland.
I'm Chris. Thank you for listening. This is episode 99.
I am Lisa, and this is part 2 with Jason and Francesca talking about their upcoming trip to Southeast Asia as a family of 4.
You know, with 2 young kids in tow, they were sure confidently calm.
Experience.
I'm impressed.
Episode 99?
Pretty crazy. The last 2-digit episode. And thinking back to the amount of people that we've talked with and the places that we've connected with them is still like super hard to wrap my mind around.
Absolutely. Each of them like an open book. Their thoughts, their ideas, their tips, learning their experiences. Amazing.
Absolutely right. And we have learned so much from everybody that we've talked to, and we hope you have learned a lot as well.
What are we going to do for 100?
Honestly, I wish I knew, and I wish we had the time to put something epic together. I had quite a few really cool ideas, but there's that whole time thing.
Time crunch. Celebrating the milestones should be a big thing.
So maybe you have an idea.
Me?
The listener, what do you think we should do? Business as normal? Highlights and recaps? We would love to hear your ideas.
Okay, so let's get into part 2 with Jason and Francesca. Start with safety, go deep into finances, and lots more. Concerns for most as a family with small kids. How have you guys planned and prepared for being smart and staying safe?
So Jason has put together, we have go bags in case anything crazy happens over there.
Security-wise, it's a pretty safe area over there. That was one of the reasons why, or one of the other reasons that drew us to Southeast Asia, is it's relatively safe. And I mean, a lot like Laos and Cambodia, not so much, but Vietnam and Thailand are real like tourist heavy areas. And so like they're pretty accustomed to travelers and everything. And when we were talking to the couple that lived over there, they were saying theft is like really looked down upon. And so it's not as a big of an issue over there as like most of the people that I've heard of traveling in South America have always like had their cars broken into. But I'm hoping I mean, there's not a lot of people that have gone to Southeast Asia, so there's not a lot of intel, but I'm hoping that we'll be a little bit safer over there. So, and then, I mean, just using your head, right? I mean, talking to locals, they say to stay out somewhere, stay out of those areas and just be, street smart, I guess.
Well, that'll take you a long way.
Yeah. I think the big thing is talking to the locals and having that communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was looking for trackers for the kids, like GPS trackers. And unfortunately, I talked to 2 or 3 different companies, and I couldn't find a company that was like working with people abroad. Most of them were just here in the States. They didn't work overseas. And so there wasn't really a good like GPS tracker that I could use over there for them.
I got a really out of the box thought.
Oh boy.
So I've seen this commercial for elderly people. There's a GPS tracker in their shoes.
Yeah, but it's in the U.S.
I know, but what if you take that and cut it out of the shoe and put it in, like if they're wearing little backpacks or in their pocket of their pants or something?
It doesn't change the continent that it works on.
But it's on the phone, like connect it with his phone.
Yep, out of the box questions.
Hey, if it works, right?
What about health insurance? What are you guys doing to make sure that you're covered there?
So I had been in contact with a company, and they had given me a quote, and they just said, when you're ready to leave, just call us back, and basically you apply for it. And it was like $1,000 for the 6 months, and that basically covered anything major. And so that's what we're going to be doing.
And healthcare over there is pretty inexpensive, and they have universal healthcare. So it's not like if something minor happens, it's going to break the bank just to go have whatever procedure that needs to be done. So
my brother traveled quite a bit. He took a year and got a one-way ticket to Amsterdam. And so he said, if you need stitches or something, you can go and get them for $2 or $3. It's not, super expensive to go get that type of, thing done.
But we wanted something that if something major happened, we would still be covered.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the name of the company?
Geo Blue Insurance.
Okay. Cool.
Perfect. If you don't mind, we'd like to go through your thoughts and maybe advice on finances. One of the most common questions asked, as I'm sure you've gotten, is how can you afford to do what you're doing? Or I'm sure you've gotten the famous, you must have won the lottery or be rich. The real question is, how can our listeners do what you're doing?
I don't know. Have a crazy person in the relationship that likes to spend money and another one that likes to make it, I guess. It's a hard question because everybody's, financially at different places, some people have kids, some people don't have kids. So there's all kinds of different things. But the main thing I would say is it's a process. As a general rule for every expedition or big trip I've done, it's 2 years is what I say. And it usually ends up being a little longer than that, maybe closer to 3 years. But that's how long it takes to get from the idea to fruition. And there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that, and arguments and conversations about is this even right for us? But just like we were saying before, you just got to take steps, and if it's something that's that important to you, you'll find a way to make it happen. And it's for us, we talk to a lot of people, and it's they're gone abroad for years at a time, and they're like, oh, you only have 6 months, and it's everybody has their constraints, so it's we would love to be out for a year, but we don't have that kind of time. And so trying to take those baby steps and financially just, because you do, if you're gone for 6 months, you have to figure out how not just how to cover the trip cost, but how to cover the cost of your, mortgage and stuff back at home while you're gone.
Yeah. So I've always been really good with our money, and, we don't really have a lot of debt. So our cars are paid off. We have a mortgage, but we're renting out our house while we're gone. We don't really have a lot of expense back home, which has kind of freed us up to be able to go travel. And then just Jason said, for the past couple of years, we've just really tried to save as much as we can to prep for the trip.
Do you have any a daily, weekly, or monthly budget that you've put together?
Yeah. So budget-wise, I don't even know how accurate this is anymore because it's South America, I think, but I could run through it. There was a lot more intel as far as travel costs in South America because there's a lot more overlanders down there doing that. So when it came to Southeast Asia, we knew it was going to be cheaper. We're just even now we're not sure. Fuel costs are about the same there as they are here in the States. whereas in South America it was going to be a little bit more expensive for fuel. But you got your budget? You want to go through it?
Okay, so what do we do? So as far as flights go, I put everything on our credit cards.
Alaska credit card.
Yeah, we have an Alaska credit card. The only thing I haven't figured out how to put on our credit card is our mortgage. But, like our utilities, everything goes on the credit card for miles. So I think our flights, we're hoping, are going to be around probably $2,000 once we go ahead and have all of our miles. We have cell phones at about $150 a month, so that was $900 total.
And that's with like data plans for my media stuff too, so that'll be a little heavy because we're trying to stay connected. I'm trying to upload one video a week, so the data was a little higher on that.
Food we put at $700 a month. I think that's probably going to be a little bit high,
especially for Thailand.
Yeah, for area. Over in that area. But, we're trying to budget a little higher, and if it's less, then great.
Yep, that's smart.
And what else do we do here? So we did lodging. We have...
Which will be kind of interesting because camping doesn't really exist over there. I mean, there's a few designated camping areas, but we're not sure, it was hard to budget how much it's going to cost for us to stay over there because we're not really sure what it's going to be. I think it's going to probably be a lot of bargaining with people and I don't know, going up to people with nice places and be like, hey, can we stay in your yard?
We've got cheese.
I think the big question once we get back, I should be able to tell you exactly how much we spent because I'm very particular about how I keep track of our money, and I could probably log in and say, hey, we spent this much, a month, and, be a little bit more accurate on our spending.
Yeah, she does all our money stuff, as you can see.
That's awesome.
I just hand over the cash and she takes care of it. Otherwise it'd be gone.
That's cool. So thank you for going through that. That is super helpful. And then when you guys do that, maybe you guys could put together a video on your end. I find that is really something that people thrive to get so that they can see that it is absolutely doable and achievable for anybody that just simply does the planning and takes the steps to do it. So thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't have any real-time information, but I mean, kind of the research I've done, it seems like it's about $3,500 to $4,000 a month to stay on the road with a family. That's what it seems like. And again, most of that is just from things I've read from people traveling in South America. So that Southeast Asia might be a little less expensive. I don't know, but it seems like about $3,500 to $4,000 a month is what it costs to be on the road.
The navigation and communication, what are you planning on for navigation, either with apps on your phone, paper maps, or GPS?
Yeah, I've always used Gaia. I haven't always. I use Most Your Next GPS, but for the last, 3 or 4 years, I've used Gaia. And so I'd never really planned. When I was doing the Oregon Trail planning, I used a mishmash of different things. And so I've never used actually Gaia to plan a big expedition. So I used it to plan the South America trip that we did, and then for the Southeast Asia trip. So pretty much that most of my honestly, Google is a great resource because there's a lot of information on there. It's a highly used platform, and so there's going to be a lot more intel as far as what's around you, what's there. So I imagine that's going to get used a lot. And I put I don't know how much we're going to use it, but it's called a V-Line. It's a unit it integrates with your entertainment system. So it's like an Android tablet, and you can use your screen in your car. So we actually have that too. So we can get on the internet and do Google Maps and stuff like that. As long as it has an internet connection, you can get into all of that. So I imagine that'll probably be used a little bit. But for the most part, we just have a tablet with Gaia and Google Maps on it. Nothing special.
Okay. And then on communication, you had mentioned your budget for cell phones. Do you plan on just using like your current carrier, or are you going to get SIM cards when you get there?
From what we can gather, T-Mobile is like the best carrier over there. So before we leave, they actually have a pretty good international plan. And so last time we were over there, we made the mistake of just having one of us with a cell phone, and then we got split up and then realized like, oh, we don't know how to find each other now. So her and I will both have our cell phones, and then, we'll probably activate hotspot on the cell phone for the computers. The other thing is I've been looking at, it's called a Skyroam, and it's basically, it looks like an orange hockey puck, but it's basically a Wi-Fi hotspot. And the nice thing is like, I don't think you have to switch out the SIM card. They have deals with all these carriers. And so you just kind of carry this hockey puck around with you, and you have, coverage, and it covered all the countries that we were going to be in. So that's another option too, that I've been looking at if the hotspot isn't working on the cell phones.
I think was it Lindsay with Girl Gone Glamping that showed us that?
I think so.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. She seemed to really like it. And then do you guys use a InReach or a Spot?
I've got an InReach. We brought it on the whole Oregon Trail thing, but I've actually never really used it. I mean, we had it activated, but I know it's like people are like, you can connect and text and do all kinds of stuff to it, but I haven't really got into it. And I don't know how well those things work abroad either. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, you'd have to look up their map. Okay, cool. So let's go through some onboard necessities real quick. I think you mentioned it, but if we could go through it again real quick, how much fuel can you carry? How far does it take you? And how do you generally calculate what your fuel needs are going to be?
It's, let's see, 33 gallons and then 23 gallons. So what is that? That's 56 gallons. So 56 gallons of fuel. And then, like I said before, I haven't tested it since I've had the trailer, but before I could eke out about 700 miles. So I imagine with the trailer, I'm going to be probably 500-600 miles, somewhere in there. Calculating it, I try to do it manually, just doing the calculations at fill up, just because it has like an onboard fuel thing, but I feel like after regearing, bigger tires, like all that stuff, I don't feel like it's like super accurate. And so usually like probably, I don't know, every couple of months or something, I'll run the numbers and see what kind of fuel mileage I'm getting. But I think it's not great. Like 12 miles at the gallon. It's about, I think, the best I'm getting towing that trailer.
Okay.
And the truck is 6,500 pounds, and I think the trailer is like pretty close to 4,000 pounds. So
oh, wow. Okay.
Fully loaded, so it's pretty heavy.
Okay. And how much water can you carry? How are you planning on filtering water?
It's 35 gallons of onboard water on the trailer, and then Lifesaver. It's a water purifier that's shaped like a jerry can. So you basically fill up the jerry can. It has a pump, and it pumps through. Most of the water purifiers, doesn't matter what you get, it'll say it filters out 99.9% of bacteria and viruses or whatever. But there's a lot of stuff that I was finding that, like cysts, and there was some like other things that some of the higher end water filters filter out that the off the shelf ones don't filter out. And so I really wanted to make sure, because I mean, we're probably going to get sick. I mean, when I was over there, I had a stomach thing. I mean, it's kind of inevitable, but as much as we can avoid that, clean water is probably one of the better ways to avoid getting sick. So I wanted something, and a lot of the onboard, like inline things for trailers were pretty expensive. So that was the one that we could find that was relatively inexpensive, and I think will suit our needs. So basically anything that we cook with will run through that water purifier. It's sitting right on the fender well of the trailer, so it'll be pretty handy.
Okay. And do you plan on using solar or a generator to keep all your camera gear powered up?
Yeah, we've got solar on there. I'm still trying to figure out. I've got a couple of solar panels from a project I did a while ago, and they've got a weird connection, but I'm trying to get those to hook up to it. Right now we just got a 120 watt panel, but I've got 3 50 watt panels that hook together in combination. So I'm trying to get that to work together, so we have a little little bit more juice. But right now we just have that 120 watt panel that's working for us, which we've got 2 Group 31 batteries in there, so it's we've got quite a bit of power. Excess power batteries gave us those 2 batteries, and they're pretty. I've had actually really good experience with them. I had a couple of Odysseys and some Optimas, and the excess power batteries are probably the better ones that I've used. But yeah, for right now it's 120 watts of solar, and then we've been talking about maybe putting something on the truck too for the camera gear, but looking at the time we have till we ship out, I'm kind of thinking it probably won't happen.
Okay. Are you doing anything different this time to keep everything cool so you don't have any overheating issues with, let's say, the inverter?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have a vehicle with air conditioning now.
That ought to help.
Yeah, I've actually worked really hard over the last couple of years to pare down my camera equipment so we're not carrying so much stuff. When we did the Oregon Trail trip, like, we were kind of going through that phase where we're a little bit like inexperienced and didn't know exactly what we need. So we went kind of overboard on all the camera equipment. And so this time, yeah, the inverter that we have, I've mounted in a place where it gets plenty of airflow and everything now. Like, I mean, the vehicle, like I said, has air conditioning, so everything's going to stay a lot cooler. But my camera equipment in general is pared down a whole lot. So we're not having to have so much electronics in there, keeping everything charged.
Nice. So any specific recovery gear that you would recommend for other people to make sure that they've got with them?
When you're going out by yourself, especially to a foreign country, I'm like, I got to be able to self-recover. One of the big things that I've always been kind of worried about is, I mean, if you're around anchor points, you're fine. But if you're outside of, in plains or in a grassland or something where you don't have an anchor point, land anchor was always something I was like, I feel like I should have this because it's not something that's going to be used very often. But if you're in an area where you can't winch off anything, you're by yourself, you need something. And so I would search in Dead Man land anchor. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
yeah.
Super simple concept, but it's basically a vinyl tarp with some straps on it that you bury. And Dead Man actually is what you call a winch point that you bury in the ground anyway. So with like traditional land anchors, they were so big that I didn't feel like it was like very practical to carry around. But that Dead Man it's small. It rolls up into like the size of a small camp chair. So it was a lot more suitable, and it makes me feel a lot more comfortable now. I guess Southeast Asia is going to be a little bit different. I figured when we were going through South America, there'd be a lot more like vast open areas that we didn't have. But Asia's pretty forested unless we're on the beach somewhere, get stuck in the sand. And then just your typical, like I've got one of the boxes on the top of the roof is dedicated to recovery gear, and I've got a kinetic rope, the land anchor, probably like 5 or 6 synthetic or the soft shackles, and then 2 or 3 hard shackles, snatch block, and then a few straps, and that's about it. Some common sense, that goes a long way too.
That is very true. Very true. So this has been a lot of fun. Anything that we've missed that you think that we should definitely cover?
No, I think you guys got it. You guys nailed it. Other than, check out our YouTube. Like Chris was saying, I put a lot of hard work into my videos, and so check it out.
Very educational. I watch it too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's wrap it up with some fun facts about you. Lisa, go ahead.
So what will your co-driver be occupied with on long drives?
Taking care of the kids.
Hey, Francesca, I saw you were taking that nap during the camping with the trailer in the snow. You were passed out.
Wait, when did you put that in?
You didn't see that?
It was awesome.
Yes, I missed.
Yeah, I was talking and your head was bouncing around behind me.
She's going to get another concussion.
Yeah.
The rides sometimes, they just put me to sleep.
That said something about that suspension, man.
I was going to say it was Jason's smooth driving.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But yeah, I'll be taking care of the kids, making sure they're, kept quiet and navigating, keeping Jason calm, on track. Yeah. I have one thing to say about Jason. He gets very flustered in airports. Okay. It's funny. You would think he is, the traveler and he's so cool going through the airport, but that is not his jam. He goes up to try and check himself in and it's a cluster. I'm like, babe, just go over there with the kids. I'll do this.
Yeah, airports are not my thing. I can travel overland style, but give me an airport and I'm a hot mess.
But you guys can navigate together. Us navigating together, Lisa, no, that's super bad. Super
Yeah, you
bad.
have to give it up. Whoever is navigating, the other person has, especially in a marriage, we've been and it's hard for me because I was the navigator for our team. So I'm like, do this, do that. And she's like, just leave me alone. So I have to learn to all right, you're the navigator. I'm just listening to you. Plus, I don't know how I ever became navigator for our team. I have a terrible sense of direction. You have a much better sense of direction than I do.
I think it's a
I'm
woman
surprised I
thing.
didn't get lost.
Probably.
Left field.
Do either of you play any musical instruments around the campfire?
Yeah, I play a little ukulele.
Yep, we actually Jason's parents bought Jackson a ukulele for his birthday last year, and it's
Nice.
indestructible.
Yeah, it's outdoor ukulele. It's the name of the company. They're out of Bend. There's a lot of companies out of Bend, I'm realizing. But yeah, it's like an indestructible. He always likes to play my ukulele, and it's like my grandpa's ukulele. And so I was like, we need to get him something that he can't destroy. So, and it was good for the trip too. So
yeah, we're bringing that.
Cool.
I can see dad and son playing ukuleles. How cute.
Gonna need some video of that.
I love it.
I'm sure he'll be on there.
What's your favorite drink in the morning to get you going?
Well, I typically drink coffee. I was actually off it for a while. I kind of went to black tea, but then slowly I got back on coffee. So I will be having coffee, and Jason
I like
drinks
chai tea.
Yeah, he drinks chai. So I actually just went to Costco yesterday and I got some chai to pack along with us for at least the first little bit.
She's like, 1 or 2. I'm like, yeah, definitely put 2 in there.
And what's a favorite beverage at night to wind down after a long day on the road?
Well, I like wine.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't usually drink anything.
Yeah.
Water. I'm boring.
Yeah.
What was it during the Oregon Trail, Jason? Was it Kool-Aid that they had brought that was like the greatest thing in the entire world? Like towards the end of your trip?
No, I don't remember this.
I think it was Kool-Aid.
No, I don't remember. Was it Kool-Aid?
It was
Yeah, I
something
can't
really
remember.
obscure.
I'm trying to remember that story now. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that other podcast. Dude,
That's why they're there.
there's so much stuff that you forget. I mean, every time we get together with the guys, we're like swapping stories, and I'm like, dude, I don't even remember that. When did that happen? You miss so much stuff.
Memories.
Yeah, getting older, man. Memories fading.
What is your best advice to aspiring overlanders dreaming of a trip like this?
Just do it. Nike. Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is you got to do it. You got to make it a priority. If it's just something that you think you'll do one day, it'll never happen. It has to be something that you're going to do. And then, a good way is to tell other people that you're going to do something, because it almost, at least for me, it almost holds me accountable, because I don't want to be the guy that says he's going to do something and doesn't do it. So if I start telling other people, it holds me accountable to actually follow through with it.
There you go.
I think too, if you're putting it out there, in the universe, then you're actually speaking that, into your life.
It's true.
Yeah, I agree with that. So how can people learn more about you? Give us a little bit more detail, website, social media, YouTube. Where do our listeners find you?
Website is www.outlawexpeditions with no E. So outlaw expeditions.com. And then Ox Overland everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. OX Overland.
Cool.
Yeah,
and we'll put that in the show notes too, so people can link to it. And any more information or useful resources you'd like to list out for our listeners?
Useful information.
Come back and listen to us after 6 months.
There we
We'll
go.
have a lot more information for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We are humbled that you've given us such an amazing look into your world, experiences, and knowledge. Safe travels and adventures to you, and we hope to catch up with you again in the future.
Thank you. It's been awesome.
Jason and Francesca from Ox Overland, everyone.
What a great time catching up with them and learning more about their upcoming overland trip to Southeast Asia.
Yeah, that was great. A lot of good information. You got to make it a priority. If you're like us and wanted to do some long-term overland travel, I think Jason said it perfectly. You got to make it a priority. So, Lisa, not to catch you too off guard, but what would you say we're doing to make it a priority for us?
So we're going to sell our home, sell our businesses, and one man's trash is another man's treasure.
I hope there's a lot of people out there that need a lot of treasure.
I'm glad you said treasure because I don't think we have trash.
We got to sell it. It can't be trash. Nobody wants to buy trash.
Nope, I'm confident.
I think you're right, though. With doing the podcast over the last 2 years, coming up on episode 100, that was our way of learning and getting to know the community of the Overland community, but learning a ton of information and really talking to a bunch of really cool people about really cool stuff. So that's pretty easy to do. But then just selling pretty much everything, but being smart, finding a place so we can go that would be easier to rent while we're gone. All of those things for very long-term thinking, which would be us most of the time.
We think a lot.
We do think a lot. Don't get caught up in paralysis analysis. Analysis, paralysis. What order does that go?
I don't know, but that sounds really good.
Yeah, well, whatever. I was impressed that they can navigate together. We seriously need to get that figured out, or you need to commit to long naps.
Oh, Francesca passed out as Jason's driving in the snow and filming. Oh, her head just bouncing around. You might take too much advantage of that.
I definitely would.
Yep, you would. I'm looking forward to seeing their trip unfold. Southeast Asia should be pretty epic.
Agreed.
Hopefully, catching up with them after their trip to see how things went.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So here's to wrapping up episode 99. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you.
Let us know what you think we should do for number 100 and have yourself an amazing week.
For good overlanding karma, kindly subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your podcast platform of choice, giving the GHT Overland podcast a little extra love. You can visit the show notes page on our website at ghteoverland.com/podcasts. Select the Ox Overland Family Adventure episode.
And before we go, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. Your support of the podcast means the world to us. If you'd like to help support the show and possibly get a stainless tumbler, t-shirt, or both, take a look at the options by following the Patreon link on our website. If you'd like, you can send any questions, suggestions, especially for episode 100, and any feedback that you've got to ghteoverlandpodcast@gmail.com.
GHT is showing gratitude, being humble, and having the tenacity to tackle your dreams. Thank you, and we will see you very soon for episode 100 of the GHT Overland Podcast. Bye.
Shaking street light and I'm standing alone. Ooh, said what kind of things would be said about the kind of man I try to be, kind of man I've been. Just give it my all, flexing it I've been. Go as far as I could go with my family and friends.